guys, welcome to ITS Tactical. Today I'm going to show you how to store paracord around a Boonie hat. I've seen a lot of people that keep paracord routed throughout the little lanyard loops that you typically see on a Boonie hat. And my issue with that is that I've always wanted to do that as well, but I didn't have a good method of being able to get it off. I've seen a lot of Boonie hats that look really cool. They have a lot of paracord weaved throughout those bands. It looks really nice, but can you get it off and actually use it in an emergency without spending 20 minutes unraveling or untying your paracord? So that's what we're going to show you today. We're going to show you basically a paracord storage Sinnet, and if you remember from past videos, we've created this before using that same chain Sinnet method, but we're going to apply that to the loops in a Boonie hat and show you how you can essentially make a quick release to get your paracord off in a hurry if you need it. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, just to give you a better look real quick at this storage Sinnet, the way it's wrapped around a hat, you can see I've got it pretty tightly weaved together. And essentially what this is it meets right here, so that all I have to do is basically undo one little section of paracord there, and I've got this, which just pulls off as a quick release as I need it. So, and you can see I've basically started that same pattern on this hat, which is kind of our demonstration. I'll start this. So I'll pull this off real quick so you can see that unweaving there, and we'll start fresh basically, and I'll show you how to create this. But there's another view of that paracord storage Sinnet that we've made previously on ITS. I will say that the downside to this method that we're going to show you is that it takes a while. I think to do this whole hat, it probably took me 30-45 minutes, something like that. But I feel that that's more applicable to a storage method than tying something like this. This is great, but I think to do 50 feet of paracord, which this is, took me somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour and a half. I can't really remember, but we've done an article and I think a video on actually tying this as well. But you'll see the method in this video too on how to do one of these if you want. But essentially the first step that you want to start with is making a loop, obviously. What you're going to do is pick a place to start at, and that's basically where you'll finish too. And if you saw on this hat, I had basically off of my right hand side, I had these meet kind of in the halfway point. That way I knew exactly where to kind of go to unravel this if I needed to. So that's where we're going to start with this one as well. We're going to start on that midpoint of the right hand side. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a loop just like this, and you want to leave yourself a tail. It doesn't have to be a considerably long tail, but just something there, because you're basically going to interlock that with the pattern when it comes back around the other way. So starting there, you're basically going to create a bite or a loop essentially in the paracord, and you're going to create a second loop or a bite here in this one. And by weaving this into this, pulling this down, and tightening things up, you're basically going to get something that looks like that. And where you go from there is, I'm actually going to flip this around so that it continues to go this way. That's kind of an important facet of this as well. But you'll see as I start tying more of these that you create the tension or the tightness by adjusting different angles of the paracord. So what I'm going to do now is create another bite, but I'm going to go behind one of those little loops on the hat here. Pass this through the back. Now this loop can actually control the tightness of that wrapping here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down on this while holding this, and it's actually going to tighten up that. I don't know if you can really see that very well, but you'll kind of learn as you start to do this. And it's very hard to do this from the opposite angle on camera, but I'm going to do my best with it. So it might not look as tight here on the video as it could be. So essentially that loop that you've got from the first part is going to go over the loop you just brought up. So it'll look something like that. So that's your second loop coming through the first loop, and you're going to tighten this up. So you can see I guess your right side on camera does that, your left side on camera will tighten that actual line right there. And then I'll tighten this up again on that side. But you can see everything kind of interconnects when you're doing this, so the way to tighten this up will become clear to you as you start to do this, but it's important to keep a tight wrapping on this. So again, we're going to create another loop. This one will come on the outside, and that's kind of what I'm going to do as I go, is I'm going to alternate with bringing the line in and staying on the outside. And that's kind of how we're going to do the Sinnet. But what you'll do is you'll start to see the pattern develop as we do this. So again, the loop we just created, we're going to pass that previous loop over, and to tighten up this loop, we're going to pull down on that cordage. And then to tighten that up, pulling up on this. I know this seems a little complex, but like I said, once you get in the rhythm of doing this, it'll become clear how you need to do it. So again, backside on this one, since we just went around to the front on the last loop. Again, we're going to tighten this up here. And again, pass that loop around. Just like so. So hopefully you can kind of see the pattern starting to develop here. It's just basically going to be repeating that all the way around. I won't bore you to death with doing this on the whole hat. We're going to cut away, and I'm actually going to finish wrapping this, and I'll show you how to essentially tie these together at the very end. So that is kind of the initial steps of creating this, basically what we're calling a Boonie hat storage Sinnet, or Boonie hat chain Sinnet, and we'll be right back with you and show you how to finish this off. Alright guys, so you can see here we've now taken the paracord wrapping all the way around the Boonie hat, and we're left off with a last loop. So what we're going to do with this last loop is we're actually going to take the tail from when we started, and we're going to create essentially a loop with that. So we're going to come up here, I'm going to pass that through the last remaining loop, and just pull down to secure it. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. This is the method I prefer. As you're messing with this, you might find a better way, but this is what I like doing. So I'm left with a tiny loop, and I'm just going to tighten the crap out of it basically so it stays put, and I'm just going to tuck the tail you know, behind the wrappings and stuff like that so it stays out of the way, just like that. So what you're left with is something like that. You can trim off this cordage. I would recommend, you know, you get maybe 2 inches or so you can basically take that back through those wrappings like that and get it out of the way so you're not left with anything hanging out. And then basically what you do to unravel it again, as we showed earlier, you take this, you pull that, and then you just take that remaining strand here and cut this away. So that's how basically to finish off the Boonie chain Sinnet, or the Boonie paracord Sinnet. And that's pretty much it. There's not too much to it. It's not very complicated not to do. Like I said, it may take you a while. And one thing I neglected to mention too earlier is that this is roughly around 20 to 30 feet of paracord. It's going to vary. Different paracord widths will, you know, obviously change the length that you can store, but you can definitely store a considerable amount here too. And you could almost pass it back through again, but just know that the actual channels now between the hat are a little limited because you've kind of taken up that space with the paracord wrapping. But again, this is a simple way to store paracord on a Boonie hat or anything really that you're wrapping onto. So make sure you let us know if you have any questions. We'll have an accompanying article along with this too that'll kind of show some step-by-step photos, so check those out as well on ITS Tactical. And thanks for watching.